What's up, horror fam? Welcome back to the channel. Hope everyone's doing well. So for today's horror news update, we have some additional information, maybe some insight into an upcoming sequel, which we all knew was coming, which is Terrifier 4. If you didn't already know, again, if you hadn't seen Terrifier 3, then you should have expected Terrifier 4 to come out, regardless if you saw Terrifier 3 or not. Just based on the success of that film alone, the box office numbers, and everything that followed after it, the video games, merchandise, New York Stock Exchange, ringing of the bell, the countless articles, the countless reviews and interviews, we knew there was going to be a Terrifier 4. Again, you didn't have to see the film to know that was going to happen. When you invest $2 million and you make almost, I think it was almost $100 million, or just at $100 million at the global box office. And that included the original release, and I know they did a brief re-release for Christmas Day. I think it was the day before Christmas, Christmas Day, and the day after Christmas. So for that 3 days, they did a re-release in some theaters in some regions. So that just added to the box office results. So again, if you didn't see the film, you didn't have to know a sequel was coming. If you saw the film, you knew a sequel was coming. So let's get into some of these details. So as we see here, Terrifier 4 director promises, quote, sweet spot between strong story and grisly gore. Now, the Terrifier series is, I think, is just one of those franchises that you're either going to love it or you're going to hate it. And it's either going to be for you or it's absolutely not for you whatsoever. Now, I've made no bones about it. I haven't been quiet about it at all, as far as what my thoughts were on Terrifier 3 as a standalone film and as it relates to the franchise itself. And I say franchise, I'm referring to just the 3 films, not the short story films that came before it. Just really Terrifier 1, 2, and 3. I thought Terrifier 1 and 2 were good films. Were good films for what they were trying to do, what they were trying to achieve and present. Terrifier 3, while I think it had its good moments, I didn't necessarily like it as much as the other 2, and if I had to choose between the 3 of the franchise, I'm going with Terrifier 2. And I've said this before, every time we cover Terrifier, when something comes up or comes out about it, I felt like Terrifier 3 had too much of a comedic aspect to it. Art the Clown turned into more of a comedic role in more aspects than it should have been. It just didn't feel like the same type of Art the Clown that you saw in Terrifier 1 and 2, where it wasn't really comedy. It was just gore, kill, and really horror. So that's where the miss was for me for Terrifier 3. Now again, I saw Terrifier 3 in theaters, so I knew there was going to be a sequel. The way it ends, it sets itself up for a sequel. I do, though, hope Terrifier 4 is the final one. I do know there have been talks of a Terrifier 4 and 5, but my hopes is that Terrifier 4 will wrap it up and close it out. I don't want to see Terrifier turn into something like we've seen other horror franchises where we're out to like sequels, 8, 9, and 10. And I don't even think that many sequels, even amongst my favorite franchise, which is Halloween, was really necessary. Because while I do find enjoyment in some of those sequels for as campy of horror as they are, I don't necessarily think they were necessary as far as the story goes. Because as we all know, if you don't know, Halloween just has, I think, three different timelines, an anthology timeline, the reboots that Rob Zombie did. Then you have, it's just ridiculous as what they've done with the Halloween franchise, in my opinion. So I don't want to see Terrifier fall into that same trap. So let's jump into some of these details here and see what this is about. Terrifier 4 director Damien Leone has promised a, quote, sweet spot between a strong story and grisly gore in the upcoming sequel after critiques about both. Reviews for Terrifier 3 have continued the franchise tradition of being well received by critics and audiences alike, with its $89.8 million box office against a $2 million budget. So I was off. So I thought it had hit $100 million, but obviously we can see it was just shy of $100 million. Proving the franchise a success, the series is best known for its shocking, gory kills from slasher villain Art the Clown, but also for a complex story that humanizes long-standing characters like Sienna Shaw. I don't know if I would say this is a complex story. It's a pretty cut and dry story. If you've seen the franchise and where the Sienna Shaw storyline picks up in part two, it's pretty clear and cut. It's pretty, to the point. I don't think it's very that complex. It's not like we're solving a murder mystery here. Now Leone has responded to criticisms about the slasher franchise, promising to balance both the story and gore in Terrifier 4. His post shows him responding to someone critiquing the movies for having too much story focus, but the director also addresses those who say it's too heavy on its blood-soaked kills. He hopes to find a sweet spot between both aspects of the franchise in the next installment, appeasing critics on both sides of the aisle. Check out what Leone had to say below. So here we have a post. I'm not sure if this is from, looks like this might be from Instagram or X, one of the two. So he says here, man, these guys aren't making it easy for me, are they? It's either Terrifier has absolutely no plot and is just mindless gore, or Terrifier has too much plot and not enough gore. Gosh darn it, people, I'll find the sweet spot in T4 if it kills me. And I mean, I would agree that with Terrifier 3, if some of the kills felt very they were just there for the gore. Granted, the kills should add some aspect to the story if you're going to be killing off certain characters. But if you're just having Art the Clown come across random people and then you're just having, just pointless kills, and then those kills take up 5 to 10 minutes of the film because you just want to show a gory kill, I can see that side of it. I can also see the side of the fact that 5 or 10 minutes that was wasted could have been applied to the actual story and made the story flow much easier, much more uniquely. So I get what both sides are saying. Now for me, within Terrifier 3, there were some crazy kills in there. There were some scenes that I think went on a bit longer than needed, and there were some shocking moments. Not necessarily the kills, but there was one when the handyman was being taken out by Art the Clown, and some of the other things that were happening during that scene that I wasn't expecting, that were absolutely shocking. It's that shock factor, I guess, that I think he was going for. And again, what would you expect from a Terrifier film, right? So I went into this with my eyes wide open. I wasn't overly surprised, but when I first seeing that, I was like, oh, that's a bit much. So, again, I can see he's trying to find that balance because you want to try and make both sides of your fan base happy, but I think that's going to be hard to do. So I think finding that balance, you're either going to have to give or take. Someone's not going to be happy. It's either going to be the people who want the gore or the people who want the story. Someone's not going to be happy regardless of what you end up trying to do. So what Leone's statement about story and gore means for Terrifier 4. Terrifier 3 ended with Sienna's cousin, Gabby, falling into a portal to hell alongside the sword used to defeat Art in the second movie. As for the clown, he hides on a city bus, still free as the series' main hero promises to find and rescue her cousin. This sets the stage for a very story-heavy fourth installment that plays into the franchise's supernatural themes more readily. Something that could distract from the gory kills if Leone isn't careful, but with the core clown still free, there's bound to be more memorable kills in the next entry. I think, my opinion, you're going to, with Gabby in hell, I think you're going to see, obviously, Sienna having to go down into hell as well. Now, whether or not Art goes down to hell and, he has a portal to get there, and Sienna finds him, follows him through that portal that he has into hell in order to get Gabby. I potentially see, if this happens to be the final film, they don't do a 5, I see Sienna potentially sacrificing herself to save her cousin, and or whether she dies or whether she just remains in hell with Art the Clown and continues that battle in order to save Gabby, her cousin. That would just be my prediction. It's going to be one of the two, because we know Sienna's brother. We're meant to believe he's dead. There's been, theories that he's not dead because we didn't see him killed, but I'm 100% thinking he's dead. That was, in my opinion, clearly what they were trying to get across when they were showing at the end of the movie with the glasses on the serving tray. He's gone. He wasn't in the film all that much to begin with, so I think his character, it was just, I don't know if he just didn't really want to be in the film or he was just returning just for that small tidbit cameos to say goodbye to the character. But I think he's gone. This is solely going to focus on Sienna and Gabby. So let's move on a little bit here. Our take on Leone Fine Balance and Terrifier 4. So this is just the author's take, and when we come to the end of the article. So again, so we'll see what comes of Terrifier 4. We're still very, very early in the stages of this film. I think the last update we saw as far as a potential release date for this film was going to be 2026. So we still have well over a year before this film happens. Let's just say this film comes out in around Halloween 2026 or Christmas time 2026. I mean, it's just early 2025, right? So you're looking at at least a year and a half, 2 years before this film is even out there. And it's very possible a lot can change by then. Whether it's that they decide to sell the franchise to a studio and the studio tries to rush something out, or maybe they try to do a TV series instead of another film. You never know where this could go. Money seems to talk in Hollywood, so I wouldn't be surprised if someone or a studio comes along to Damien and says, hey, we're willing to pay you X amount of money, X amount of royalties, and you can have some level of creative control, but we want to own it, and this is how we want to proceed with it, whether that's another film or they decide to do a TV series on some sort of streaming platform. I don't see Damien selling out like that. I mean, I know he was offered some money for Terrifier 3 from studios, and he absolutely said, nope, not doing it, turned it down, because he wanted to have full control of the story and what he wanted to produce. And as gory as a film as this was, I don't see very many studios willing to put out a film like that, an unrated film like this in theaters broadly. They would have been much more cautious. Now, if you're going to purchase Terrifier, the franchise, then you should know what you're purchasing and you should know what your audience wants. And again, you invest $2 million, you make $90 million back. You wouldn't want to mess up that formula, because if a studio buys this, they put something out there that's not gory, they just put like an R-rated version out there, you're going to have, I think, an uprising from your hardcore fans, your hardcore followers of of the franchise and of Art the Clown. They're going to push back, and you're going to end up having a failure of a film or TV series on your hands, and then it's going to be hard to garner back the trust of that same fan base to come back and say, hey, give us another chance. So anyways, that's my take. That's going to do it for today's horror news and update. Terrifier 4, drop a comment in the comment section. Let us know what you think about Terrifier 4. Are you looking forward to it? Did you see Terrifier 3? And if you didn't, I would imagine you have no interest in Terrifier 4. But if you did and you do have interest in it, let us know what you think down in the comment section. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And to all my new and existing subscribers, thank you very much for all the support. It is greatly appreciated. And we will see you at the next one. Peace.